everyone, I'm Mariam, and in today's video I'm going to share with you 4 tips that help me speak English more fluently. But before I jump into the tips, I just want to give you a tiny disclaimer. Even though I am a non-native speaker, I did study exclusively in English medium schools and I grew up around people who spoke English. So these tips worked out better for me because I already knew the language. But even if you're a beginner, trust me, these tips will definitely help you out. So let's get into it. Tip number 1. Watch English language shows and films. Like I mentioned before, even though I'd grown up studying English, I was never really comfortable with it or fluent enough until the age of 16 because that is when I discovered American sitcoms. Now, you don't necessarily have to watch American shows or sitcoms. You can watch shows or films of any genre from any country. But if you are planning to move to a specific country, then I would recommend watching shows and films of that country so that you're more familiar with their accent and the words that they use and the expressions that they use. Watching shows and films really helped me because it exposed me to how native speakers spoke, the kinds of words that they used, the expressions that they used. And the thing about TV shows and films of any language is that they use a lot of idiomatic expressions. So it's more creative language. And when you learn those expressions, it makes you sound more fluent. While watching shows and films can be entertaining, and trust me, that definitely is a bonus, don't just watch it to enjoy it, but also actively listen to what they are saying, the words that they're using, the phrases that they're using. And if there are any words and phrases that you really like or find interesting, try to remember them. The more you listen to English, the sooner you will develop a sense of what sounds right. So you won't have to focus on the rules, but you will just know what feels right. If you are having trouble understanding the accent, watch the show with English subtitles. If you are a beginner and you don't know a lot of English words, watch the show with subtitles of your language and then move on to English subtitles and then watch it without subtitles. Tip number 2. Immediately look up the meaning of words and phrases that you don't understand. Now, I know that this may not always be possible because you may not always have access to your phone or a dictionary, but as much as possible, try to look up words and phrases that you don't understand immediately after you come across them. You don't have to remember every single word that you look up, but as you keep going, you'll come across the same word maybe twice or thrice or 4 times and you eventually start remembering it. This is a very good way to build vocabulary. If you're a beginner, you don't have to know 3 or 4 words that mean the same thing. Just knowing one word with one meaning is enough. Tip number 3. Don't sleep on grammar. I know, grammar is scary, it's boring, there's so much to remember. But trust me, you do not have to learn every single grammar rule. Just knowing a few basic rules will really help you understand the structure of the language, and it will ensure that you make fewer mistakes. There are many good resources online that will guide you through grammar and make the learning process much simpler. Although I would recommend sticking to just 1 or 2 resources because sometimes some resources have different information and that can get a little confusing. One resource that I personally like is Learn English by British Council. I will put their link in the description box below. This is not sponsored, but I do find that their website is very user-friendly and they have an array of grammar points arranged in a very systematic manner. Tip number 4, and the most important one of them all: practice, practice, practice. Tips 1 to 3 or any English lesson that you have ever learned will not help you unless you apply it to actual speech. You have to speak the language to get good at it. If you don't have English speakers around you, there are many good groups on social media where English learners are looking for others to practice with, so maybe you can practice with someone online. Or if talking to a stranger online is not your thing, practice with yourself. Now, this does not always have to look like looking into a mirror and giving a speech. Get creative with it. If you like cooking, Every time you get into the kitchen, pretend like you're doing your own cooking show and explain to your audience what you're cooking and how you're doing it. If you like makeup, pretend like you're doing a makeup tutorial for YouTube. If you like serious topics like politics and economics, then pretend like you're part of a debate. Trust me, these may sound silly, but they really work. Try to make it a point to practice speaking English for at least 25 to 30 minutes every day. The practice will really help you apply all of your knowledge into actual speech. I hope this video has helped you. Please do try these tips and come back here in a month or two and let me know in the comments if they've worked for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best in your learning journey.